Just kidding. This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on hashtag WeAreMovieClub. I got a feeling. Salutations, I am Camerai, and this is hashtag WeAreMovieClub, here today to talk about things and stuff and movies we've been watching, particularly Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to have to start swapping these or something, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I never do. So, so I should probably bring up my show notes. I should probably have the restream chat up. I'm behind as it is. Life kicks you when you're down, when you're up, when you're sideways. It just kicks like a mule. So we are going to strive forward here. That goes on this side. This goes on that side. Ooh, look. Chat. 2 points if you know what that beat's from. Whatever. So last night over on Rabbit/Camerai, we watched a little Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's been stuck in my head ever since. I don't know, maybe the score, which is fantastic, is one of the things that makes it so palpable that I can watch it on repeat, which I have literally done. I think the first time I ever watched it, I watched it 3 times. The third time was just because I needed to go to sleep finally, and I was just like, I'm going to put something on. I might as well put this on because it's the best thing I've seen in a while. Straight up, probably my favorite Marvel movie, other than Deadpool, which is technically a Fox movie, because it's in the X-Men universe. Mutants, bleh. And this is out in cosmic space. In theory, Thor is out here. Thanos is out here. We know that much. The Mad Titan. Apparently, he has a pervy brother. It was really interesting to find that out in my research. What would it take to get the microphone on that side? When I finally rearrange everything, we'll figure it out. It doesn't. No one cares. So the movie opens on young Peter listening to a Walkman of all things, and you may ask, what the fuck is a Walkman? And the answer is, it's a little thing that you put a thing in, and then it plays music off. The first thing plays the music from that's recorded onto the second thing. That sounds a lot like an MP3 player with a thumb drive. It's a very similar concept, except it uses magnetic ribbons to store information. So, yeah, that's what that is. Technology back in the 80s? It was post Ninja Turtles. That's all I can remember time-wise. So the movie starts out really fun. Let me tell you, like it's on not parallel with Up because they didn't present it really well because they didn't want you to feel sad at the first 5 minutes of this movie. But tragic backstory: his mom dies of cancer. And then he gets abducted by aliens. Woo! And I almost wish we could recut the beginning of the movie. Instead of showing all that, just have Deadpool tell us that. And then be like, oh, so let's go to space now. And just have it like cut or something funny. I think a lot of movies could be improved by more Deadpool. It's just my personal opinion. So we hit some strange planet, and we have Star-Lord all grown up from the young Peter Quill, scanning this thing, and he's seeing like digital ghosts. And I guess the idea is that through the telemetry of like where things show up, he can figure out where the old church was or whatever. But it's really just weird because you're seeing like a kid play with a dog and all just creepy fucking digital ghost stuff. It reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy The Spirit Within, and for all the people who didn't like that movie, they'll tell you that that was a fucking weird shit. I like the movie, and I think it's weird. So back to Guardians of the Galaxy, of course. He does this whole little music video thing that they use in all the trailers and the teasers, where he's singing into rats. Which, if you look at these things, you wouldn't want to hold them. If you ever tried to hold a squirrel that doesn't want to hold you, you wouldn't do that. So the fact that he's holding on to these things are badass. Let alone putting them up to his face. I get him kicking them around and stuff, though. Like, I don't understand the biology of this planet at all, though, because it seems like barren, except for like these little rat things running around, plus the giant worms in the crust of the planet. So, whatever. It's space. It's fun. We got to move on. But he finally finishes goofing off, and he finds this little orb thing that he collects. And of course, the cyborg guy comes after him, and I forget his name. I can't ever remember. It's like a Scar or something. But he comes after him, and is like just really a dick about everything. It's like, you could have done things so much better. Like, just like, hey, that's not yours, man. That's ours. Lie to him, be nice, whatever, or just shoot him to start with. They never had to. Well, maybe they had to not shoot the orb, but like, they never had to interact with them. They could have just opened fire from the beginning. The fact that he was cooperating as well as he did was good, but like, they wanted to take him back to Ronan. For anyone who knew Ronan's name, like, that wouldn't have flown. But the guy did take 2 blaster shots right after Quill incinerated his buddies, so I don't know. But like, it's a by the seat of his pants type of movie that Star-Lord or Quill or whatever you want to call him survives any situation that he gets thrown into. Like, he escapes through the hole that the other guy shot at the wall where he was aiming for his face. So like, he ends up jet booting away and running off to his ship, who, like, there's other guys already there. So he already killed 2 of the Sakarans. That's what they're called, the paper people, as Drax puts it later. And then he uses that gravitational device, which he had just used to pull that orb out of the security field, to take 6 guys and push them all into each other. So he broke all their ribs. Their ribs are done. So he is not a good guy if you really want to look at it like this. But yeah, we know that ultimately he's the Guardian of the Galaxy. He's doing the cool thing, and that these guys are much worse. But like, let's just make it clear from the beginning of this conversation that Peter Quill doesn't have qualms. He's very much an anti-hero like that. He's not going to have any moments of like Spider-Man where he's like, well, we can't kill people. It's like, they shot first. Or they would have shot first. I think that would be a much more a Star-Lord thing to say, is like I had to shoot first. They were going to. And that's part of what makes this movie fun, is you end up with all these characters that they kind of ride that line of morality. It's like, well, like, really, what's good and bad? Is it really just Wild West in space? That's what it feels like a lot. So he manages to get away with the orb, even though like a geyser almost takes him out. Again, the biology or the environment on this planet's really weird. It's breathable air and everything, and then just weird shit happening. But he goes through all that, and it turns out like he's got a date on board, of all things, which I think is fucking hilarious. That like, you would bring a date on a mission, especially that you forgot about him. But the moment of seriousness, like, respect your date enough until it's over. At least drop her off or let her know what's up. Be like, hey, we gotta go do a job. You want to come with? Cool. Because she could have been minding the ship when he came back. Of course, she could have stole the ship and ran off too. I don't know how trustworthy she is. Boo doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. So, and then she answers the phone for him, which was not what he wanted to happen, because it's his dick boss Yondu, the blue psychic fin wearing, arrows singing dude. Yondu is an impressive character. Like he's honestly not that great a pilot apparently. But he's a hell of a ground troop. Like I really want him as a character in an RTS that I'm playing. Like he just wipe out everybody. Though honestly, it's like I don't know why you bother looking around for the arrow. You pop him and it's done. I'm not saying it wouldn't take like some shots, but it definitely would be a thing. Then of course we see the Dark Aster for the first time. It's this big ship that doesn't look like it makes any sense. It looks like someone was playing Jenga and lost, if I'm being honest. Like it didn't fall over, but someone turned it sideways and made a ship out of it. So, and I don't get Ronan. I don't get why he's so much stronger. I don't know why he considers himself not immortal. Because he says that later. He's like, but you're immortal. And it doesn't make, it's not a line that makes any sense to me. Other than he's just super strong, and maybe he's gone through enough Kree battle science that like he's just that enhanced, which is a possibility because the Krees, or at least the blue Krees thing is that they're militaristic and that they're huge on genetic manipulation, which is kind of where we got the Inhumans from, and probably the mutants. Really, when it came down to it. But we always see but that's every Kree you see always ends up having like some kind of like enhancement, even if it's just basic strength and speed or whatever. It's probably why they battle the Skrulls so much. And the Skrulls are shapeshifters that end up with power sets, similar to like mutants and whatnot. So you can see Skrulls shapeshifting into your favorite heroes or whatever to double as them, because it's like, oh, I've got a Wolverine power set, I'll double as Wolverine. It's really written for comics type of story, or race. Let's see. Oh yeah, so he's got like this huge boner to kill Xandar, which they're just better, tougher humans, as far as I can tell. Because it's not the pink ones, it's not the yellow ones. I looked up both of them, and I can't remember what either one's called. I think the pink people are from Kaylin, and the yellow people are from Klin, maybe? I don't know. They're different people. So the cyborg reports back to Ronan. We get this really dramatic introduction that Ronan's just a dick and that he's working for Thanos, and then he has Nebula and Gamora working for him, who Nebula's actually a different race of blue people than the Kree, so she's not Kree. It's weirdly important. Forgot to look at what Gamora was, and it's not like I remembered any of it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Gamora knows Xandar, so like she convinces Ronan to send her. She's apparently like planning to double cross, which surprisingly, all the stuff that happens down on Xandar is this like weird foreshadowing of what's going to happen later in the movie, with everyone kind of like at each other's throats. So they go to Xandar. The broker backs out of the deal with Quill at the mention of Ronan, which was kind of dumb on his part. Make the deal, don't chit chat, give up free information. That's just silly. Then Gamora steals it from him. Quill's got a bounty on his head, so Rocket and Groot, who we get weirdly introduced to, starting on him. But it's just weird back and forth thing until they all get arrested and go to the kiln, which may be the planet that I may have thought that was the name of the planet. I don't know. Whatever. So, and the only purpose of this thing is to get Drax involved. Gamora goes there. Everyone tries to kill her. Quill creates a bonding moment. There's a lot of bonding that happens there as they get together and realize that they all have kind of the same goal. They want to screw Ronan and get rich, kind of all in the same go of it. So it's a really interesting mechanic. It's a really fun set of events that happen there because you got Groot ripping the battery out of the thing way too early during this great conversation. Um, you've got Rocket's like mad escape plan. You've got the whole people trying to kill Gamora in the first place. You got Drax taking claim and then wanting to be a one-man charge against Ronan. And I don't know if they would have made it out if Drax hadn't helped out. It was kind of a weird thing like that. And it's just a place that gets annihilated later when Ronan comes by because it's what he do. He is a dick and a half, and there's enough Zendarians there, I'm sure, that he's fine just killing them all. Because it's what he wants. I don't understand at the beginning like why he has the dramatic stocks where he takes the hammer to their head and then makes them bleed, and it goes in a ritualistic pattern. It's almost Lovecraftian. Like maybe it has to do with his power set. Like the more he kills for his cause, the stronger he gets. But Ronan's a weird cat when it comes down to it. And apparently, like in the comics, he's a long-lived villain too. The fact that he dies in the movie should have been a lot more monumental. But they used Ronan to definitely build Thanos up, because if Ronan was someone who was going to lose against Thanos and like all this was happening against Ronan, then Thanos must be that much bigger, and we may be getting let down eventually, but it is what it is. So yeah, so we've already learned that Gamora's going to betray Ronan. Gen Pop, Sleeping Cycle, Ronan. Oh yeah, Ronan actually getting the summon to Thanos, and we get that cool conversation between Titan and Kree. We can see that Thanos is fully full of himself for reals. It's terribly interesting to see that. But he just sits in a chair. The reality of it, that he sits in a chair, but the atmosphere that builds off of him sitting in a chair talking is awesome. Despite what I think about Infinity War and what it's going to be, I will admit that like they'll do a good job in the action. They'll make that look good. That'll be a good feeling scene when he comes and starts getting into the action. Let's see here. Yep, so starts the prison. Yondu interrogates the broker. But that is one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie. Probably in any of the Marvel movies. There, like it's in the top 5. Just Yondu, like where like there's a fourth wall break with another character laughing. That's funny. Like that almost got me when Kraglin, I think that's his name, his first mate starts laughing. Like that got me. I was like, okay, fine, you can't do that. So of course he gets. Who knows if the broker lived through that exchange, but he definitely got through the and got the information to him. And then like we're out on nowhere with the crew, and I didn't realize it, but it was in a KNOW H here, so it's no here, not nowhere. Or say it however the fuck you want, honestly, but where it's all in the head of a celestial, which I didn't realize was going to be such an allusion to a future movie, because in the sequel, that's the whole thing, is about celestials. And it turns out like that Quill is part celestial. We find out at the end of the movie. So like, but they're here to see the Collector, and of course it's black market stuff, so why not? And other than it becoming a great like scene for a battle, because Drax is a fucking moron, where he calls out Ronan directly. He's like, "Oh, it's we've got the stone, come and get it," basically. It's so stupid. So Tavon the Collector is there, and he's a character, if ever there was one. You again, it's another character you can like really argue the moralities of it, because he has slaves, and that's what they are. They're not servants, they're slaves. And he had a couple of the pink girls, I don't remember what they're called, plus Howard the Duck, who's sentient, the dog, who's not, but still, and there you can see a couple of sentient beings there. But who knows where this dude gets funding in his business from? Shit, you could make a whole movie just off the Collector, honestly. Like just dealings coming and going. Like just pick a number like 250. Have him do that many deals within 2 hours or whatever, and have it be that movie. You could even shoot it like all in one shot in real time if you really wanted to be that much of a dick. And then just kind of like have it stop at the 2 hour mark and be like, this has been 2 hours of my life. Do you think you could stand to watch more? Or it could be like the greatest reality TV show shot as a Marvel universe type thing on like Netflix or Disney's new program when it comes out. Oh, that would be fantastic. I'd watch that for sure. I'd be like, what is happening here? So, of course, because Drax is a fucking idiot. Oh, yeah, so not only does the servant, like, hate Tavon and everything so much, I don't know if she's just trying to kill herself or kill Tavon or take the power of the gym, which was a dumb thing to do. Sorry, I was laughing at Rocket, because he's like, I can't believe you had that in your purse. It's not a purse. I don't give a shit. If I carry a bag around, it's a fucking purse. It's fine. A purse used to be something impressive for everyone to carry around because it had money in it. Not everyone had money. Now it's like, oh, you've got a purse. Be like, yeah, I have money. Fucker. It's a dumb thing to fucking pick on people about. I don't give a shit. I have bags. Let's see. So, okay, the fight with Ronan. The most ridiculous thing. Like, Drax is just a fucking idiot. I've been told a couple of different occasions that he's basically supposed to be Space Hulk, but no, he's really not. I get that he's big and tough and strong and all that, but just the way he's going against Ronan, it's just not happening. Ronan's not even interested in it. He's just like, okay, I'll do this. I'll be bored for 5 minutes, then I'll go back to being bored with everything else. So Nebula is actually the one sent to go against Gamora, and I get that I got this from CinemaSins, but I have no idea for the life of me how Gamora knew where the damn orb was without being able to track it down in the first place. Now maybe she's just reading nearby power signatures, and that's what it was. But the orb's shielding the stone, so again, it's like for every argument I can come up for it, I come up with two against. It's weird. Let's see. So it goes through this whole cool dogfight using these little like mining drones versus the Necrocraft, and it all ends with Gamora's pod getting blown up. Nebula steals the orb and then leaves her sister for dead, which I gotta admit I think is a little fucked up. Let's just be honest. And so Star-Lord does a really weird thing. He calls in Yondu and the Ravagers to come take him. And then he gets out of his pod about, 30 meters away or something. Space swims over to her, puts his mask on her, and then basically starts letting himself die. When she's surviving a little bit longer than he would have, because she's just that much tougher. Honestly, if he's able to put the mask on and swim out into space like that with bare hands and stuff, get closer, use the arms to grab her and pull her in even, open the door with the mask on, throw her in, and then decompress the chamber and let her be in the thing. Or put the mask on her and then get back in the tube and do it yourself, or the pod and do it yourself. There's so many like scenarios there where it's like you don't have to do this. But because the plot demands it, we've got to get Yondu and the Ravagers re-involved. And it's just what it is. Because it's not even like we've got to get that confrontation going again. It's that we need them for a later scene. So we have to do like 5 things to make it make sense. And it's basically... all the talking and planning that happens between what I just said and actually going to the planet. So, because like they've got to trick Yondu and agreeing to work with Quill. They've got to promise him the stone. They've got to come up with a plan at all. They've got to actually prep for the mission. So, like, because they have, like, this hacked together plan, and Yondu's promised all this glory and bounty or whatever for Ravager Code. I don't know. It's a really weird thing, but it's cool to see, like, the two giant ships, because the Ravagers, like, have a couple different levels of ships, and their capital ship, it's not a dreadnought. It's technically a carrier, but I can't remember what's called. Their flagship. They have like 2 or 3 of them, so it's not really that either. I guess it's a carrier. So they've got their carriers with that house all their other ships or whatnot, to include their battle cruisers. Not just the little ships that you see flying around in this movie, but they've got slightly larger ships that they've used, and we see at least one of the detached sections be that essentially in the second movie, and there's a couple of the bigger ships. I want to say you've got like the giant carrier ships, the ones that we see in the second movie for sure, that Yondu blows to shit when they detach the thing. But I'm spoiling the sequel of this. It's just better exampled there. And then you've got smaller ships that can still carry the fighter ships as well. But the point is that in this movie, they do this really cool screen, and the effects for everything look awesome in this movie, don't get me wrong. But this effect especially was really cool to see, because the Aster has a force field of sorts that it's using to protect itself. The screening deployment piece that they use just kind of spreads itself over the shield, and they use that as a distraction to dive. Like, I don't know what the advantage is of coming up like under a ship. I would have gone over like that, but maybe that's the expected move. And then I don't know why you had to wait to react to deploy your Necrocraft. You were obviously planning on doing that on the event of any resistance anyways. So it's cool to see like the Ravagers go against the Dark Aster and then like just be desperately outnumbered until like the Quill's dick message goes through, and you I'm so sorry. This movie's so great. You have the Nova Corps roll in to kind of save the day. And there's some questionable stuff there. Let me finish talking about the sky fight and a couple different aspects, and then we'll go to what happens inside the thing, because it's really hard to bounce back and forth like this. They do it really well in the movie. The pacing and the scene changing is awesome, because it helps keep you kind of continuously in the mood, in the not the mood, but in the timeline of the movie of what's happening when in relation to what. And I really don't care about that on its own, because there's only like one moment where the crossover really matters. You just fart on me, you stupid cat. No, don't claw that. That's not for clawing. So the dogfights go on, and there's a couple different stages. There's the whole barrier with the Novacraft, because it's actually slowing down the Dark Aster somehow. He starts having the Necrocraft bombard the city. The Ravagers, because they can't participate in this barrier thing, start taking out the Necrocraft before they hit, because they were already fighting the Necrocraft anyways. So why not save the city while they're at it? So it's a fun thing of like criminals and law like depending on each other to take out this bigger evil. It's like taking you down. So what was I gonna say? So that all leads up to a couple different moments. One of them where Ronan. There's two moments where the crossover matters. One is where Ronan ends up firing and blowing up a ship in the blockade, which causes this weird kind of chain reaction, which I don't think would happen, but I don't know how linking all that works. But the real problem is that like after he destabilizes the blockade, instead of the blockade just being pushed back more, which is what should have happened, the ships actually squish themselves. And I think that's the pilot's fault. It's like the overall push should not have been enough to damage the ships, but enough to have them be pushed back if they're not pushing the other ship forward. And by spreading out the this I may have actually argued myself into it. So by spreading out the amount of pressure amongst that entire field of the blockade, you prevent that kind of crushing from happening. It's like when you have egg foam, or when you walk on top of eggshells. You can literally walk on top of eggs that are upright. That's why you can stack eggs like that, because the strength of the egg is actually strong enough that you can't break it going the long ways. Yeah, okay. I was just thinking of the purple egg, raw egg test. I'm like, no, they're sideways when they do it, and that's the important part, to do that. Because if you're doing it top and down, like, it wouldn't matter. Plus, it's really hard to attach an egg that way. So regardless, the movie. So that's the first part. The other part is where Rocket flies his ship into the Dark Aster and actually like hits Ronan, because it's just not going well. Those are the only two parts that matter in continuity between the dogfight and the thing, because once they get the hole blown open, and the focus shifts inside the ship, who really cares about that dogfight? Like, it is what it is out there. Yeah, there's certain things happening, but with other than Ronan attacking the outside of the blockade and Rocket coming in, there's not much going on there. And it does a couple important things, like I mentioned, the blockade shattering and Rocket rejoining the crew, even though he almost kills everybody. And that's kind of like the theme of it. It's like everybody does something stupid that almost kills everyone else, but they all make it through, and it helps with the formula of it all. So there's a couple different fights in there. Drax ends up ripping out the cyborg's head. These fights are all awesome. It's impossible for me to convey them in words how great they are. It's not going to happen. Like, let's just be honest. I'm not that good at talking with the woods and stuff to express to you how the fight builds up. So when Drax rips out the circuitry from the cyborg's head, exactly how you should feel. I don't know why. I don't know why I do anything I do anymore. But there's a big moment there where Nebula ends up losing to Gamora, and she actually cuts off her own hand instead of accepting help from her sister, who she's already left for dead once this movie. There's a really cool scene where she lands on a Ravager ship and then beats it open with her stump. Nebula. And Karen Gillan, like, seeing her be a bitch character, I really enjoy it. Like, I really enjoyed Selfies and her Nebula character. I think it's a real good fit for her, and you don't expect it having seen her in other things. So, let's see. But, like, long story short and everything, of course they make it to Ronan. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. They got to. So maybe the first time watching this through, you think that's the big fight scene. But, like, no joke, they just whip out the moon killer and shoot it at him, and, like, it doesn't even rip his little cape. His hammer's not broken. His cape's not there. It supposedly hits him and knocks him down, and then he climbs up after when all the dust is clearing. And then he ends up using his hammer right before Rocket hits him with the spaceship, which you would think would do a little bit of damage. And somehow, when that happens, the Dark Aster starts falling out of the sky. Don't understand it. Don't want to understand it. It's just dumb movie plot bullshit. Maybe, possibly Rocket hit something important on the way in. Don't know. So Groot Ball, like, Groot just, and this he's been like the invincible idiot this whole time. Like he's taken so much bullet fire. He's regrown his arms. He's literally, like, put his fingers through someone's brain. He's Took out 20 guys. He's been a nightlight. So he does like one last great thing. It's like when you're hanging out with a mortal Groot, life's good. So he grows into this protective ball and speaks the one thing that isn't I am Groot is we are Groot, which should be like a huge compliment that like he considers them part of the collective. That they are like one thing. You got to think of it from a plant perspective. Like, yeah, obviously he eats something, but like he drinks water, but he's a plant. It's about spreading, growing, and being one sustainable thing, and together they are that. They are one sustainable team because they look out for each other, they protect each other, and they supply each other with what they need. So it's a cool perspective to try to stop and look at it from like a plant's point of view, of all things. And him and Rocket have this sweet little moment, and you can call it gay or whatever. I think it's sweet. It doesn't matter what else you tack onto that. It's a sweet whatever moment. Sure. And if you do take that perspective, you can't just be like, because you're a fucking moron. You've got to look at it and be like, okay, it's a sweet gay moment. Sure, dude was in love with the tree. He's a raccoon. The tree was in love with the raccoon. Who cares? Because I think it's safe to say, heterosexual or homosexual fluid or whatever, they loved each other. I didn't mean that they were in love with each other or inside each other. They loved each other. It's a sweet story. Stop being mean to it. So of course, like, Groot's just in pieces when like it finally lands. Ronan ends up backhanding Rocket like he's nothing. So he starts repairing the moon killer thing again, which seems like a futile endeavor. But of course, like, they need just enough time. And of course, because he's the villain, he starts monologuing. And I had to explain to someone in the chat room, is like, he doesn't think he's a villain. Ronan thinks that he is, by divine justice, the good guy. He thinks he's empowered by the gods, or his god, or whatever, to do the right thing, to revenge his family, to rid the universe of the scum which is Xandar. So it's amazing that, like, he starts monologuing like a villain, like he's lost his mind, because he fucking has. No kidding. And so Quill is the only thing that makes any sense whatsoever, is to do something that doesn't make any sense, and he starts dancing. And if you're gonna go out and you have the ability and the capability, why not? Why not go out dancing? So worst case, he went out dancing. Yeah, the whole planet's dead, but then he went out dancing. So, like, that could be a thing. But of course, like, it's just a distraction. The moon killer is actually used on the hammer this time, which makes for the better plan. But despite that really good slow-mo shot of Ronan, just, what happened? I can't see how they got to the stone before Ronan did. But sure. Once the power is starting to be invoked, I think his initial reaction would have been to wait for it to vaporize Quill, but they all start touching him, and they all share the energy or whatever, and then they use it to burn him alive. I don't know if you noticed that. These are not good people who are these heroes. Anti-heroes at best, and this was not their best. This moment where they're just like, oh, you've been a dick, burn. Not a good quality in people. Oh, God. Can you imagine Spider-Man or Captain America making that call? No. Spider-Man and Captain America are heroes in the traditional sense. Once you start going out to anti-hero territory, that's where you get your Wolverines and your Guardians and Daredevil to a certain extent. I actually liked him back when he was a little bit more murdery. Or I think he went through a phase where he's just crippling people instead. I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is really too upset that, like, Drax physically couldn't do anything to Ronan. Like, he couldn't actually contend. And then, like, we're obviously continuing with these people who are physically, at least to get us on their own, like, physically unable to deal with these things. And we know that they eventually have to go against Thanos, and that's, Drax says that out loud, that it's like, it's really Thanos I need to go after. So, I don't know what to do with Drax. And apparently in the comics, like, he's been put in a couple bodies. One of which is, like, the body that he's in the movies. Obviously not the same person or whatever, but, like, if you lean off the comics a little bit, it's this super engineered human body. So it's, imagine Captain America 2.0 or whatever. And then they stick Drax the Destroyer inside it. Sounds like a good movie to me. Give him his own movie. Batista could carry the movie, I think. Doing, like, the Society of All Literal People, though, that would kill everyone. I don't think the audience could handle that. But in the end, I don't know why he does it, but Rocket ends up picking up a little bit of Groot and replanting him, so that we end up with a baby Groot, which is fun and silly. The Nova Corps ends up pardoning them and repairing Quill's ship, and what was the other thing? Telling them about him being part Celestial, or that he's part Terran and part something else that's giantly old. And then Star-Lord's finally at a place where he gets to open that present from Mom back when she died. Just to remind us of that, like, despite the triumphs, there's still, like, a sad truth and tragedy to everything. And I like that. I like that we do that. It reminded me a lot of Watchmen. For a movie, and Watchmen was pretty funny in the duration, but for a movie that, like, does a lot of, like, make you laugh, they do a good job of calling to the serious and the sad in a really palatable way. And they do it well in the sequel, too, so we'll get to that next week. We'll do Guardians of the Galaxy 2 next week. Rabbit/Cameron, we'll do it next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think the event's up. Yeah, the events for Friday and the 2 for Sunday are out. I've got to end up posting for the next couple of events. I'm trying to do them out. We still got it, but yeah. So go out there, join the groups on Rabbit. They'll let you know when things are coming. Or stick around here. Tweet at me at Cameron25 if you want to yell at me, or at WeAreMovieClub if you want to talk about movies and stuff. Be really nice. But until you see me next time, which will probably be tomorrow, or next time you turn on one of these video things, them future whatchamacallits, this has been a little bit of #WeAreMovieClub. If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.